So I'm going to do a little job on my 74 Corvette. I had a seat where the spring was poking through the upholstery and catching on my clothes as I was trying to get in and out. So what I did temporarily is I took the seat from the passenger side and I put it over on the driver's side, and right now I have no seat in the passenger side. And I decided while I was at it that if you look over in the corner there, the carpeting is pretty torn up. So I decided to replace just the front carpeting in it while I replaced the seats. I found a couple of seats at Summit Racing that are good enough for this car. It's one I like to use for autocross and drag race, so it's not the fanciest car in the show, but I need to take out the seats, and I apologize ahead of time for this video because my big tripod is down in the barn and or slash workshop, and I'm just too lazy to go down and get it. So I have a little one here. It may or may not be good for this. We'll see what we can record, but I can at least show you where the bolts are, things like that, if I don't show you how they're actually being the actual removal process. The seats in there were Recaro, and like I said, the other one had a piece of spring coming through right here on the driver's seat, so I switched them. And I've got to use two hands to move the seat forward to get to the rear bolts, and my key warning buzzer goes off continuously if you open the door in this car, so just gonna have to bear with that until I get a chance to fix it. So let me pull the seat forward and show you where the bolts are that hold the thing in. So the seat is moved forward and tilted forward, and that exposes a bolt down behind the back end. What I've got here is my drill driver. I don't know if it's going to be strong enough to actually remove these bolts or not, but we're going to give it a go. Okay, that one, and actually three of them, are half-inch heads on the bolts, which I think makes them 5/16 bolts with a half-inch head. Oh, by the way, I took the negative battery cable off and tucked it away so that it can't accidentally touch. So I've got the lights disabled and the buzzer that was annoying. So the other bolt holding that on is down behind the rear side, and that one's a 9/16 head. This one, now I don't know if this is stock or not, but it goes through and has a nut on the other end, and hopefully I can get a socket. I've got a deep well socket. Hopefully I can get that on the bottom nut. I can get it over the bolt, but I don't think it's going over the nut. So this may or may not come off this way. What I did when I put this in is I just loosened it from the top here and pulled up on the seat frame to put some friction on the bottom nut and it came off. And I may have the wrong size socket here. It might be a 5/8, not a 9/16. Hold on, I forgot to switch from the half to the 9/16. That's why it's not going on. Okay, just got a couple minutes on the battery here. I'm going to try to take this off. And it broke loose, and from the bottom I'm able to spin the nut off with my fingers. So the nut is off. I pop the bolt up. So the two back bolts that hold it down are now disconnected. Hopefully I've got that camera on my hand. Okay, there you go. And in fact, if I can get the camera on it, yeah, you can see the hole through the floor. So the two holding the back of the seat down are off. We'll flip that back and move the seat back and attack the two front ones. So I've got the seat pushed back, and you can see the 1/2 inch head of the nut or the bolt right there. Again, long extensions are nice because you can get your tool where you can get a swing at it, or you can get it in the case of if you're doing like I'm using, a drill driver. Oh, dang it, I still have the 1/2 inch or the 9/16 on there now. That's not gonna work. Get the 1/2 inch. That's what happens when you get interrupted by a dead battery. You forget to change tools. Okay. This one's going to work a lot better. Okay. Three bolts are out, and there's one more. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to show you taking it out because it's way under the other side. I don't even know if I can see it. There it is, right there at the end of my finger. But same deal, get your long extension on it. you have it. All 4 bolts are out. Now it's just a matter of squeezing the seat out of the door. I am going to shut the camera off, and I will tilt it forward a little bit, the seat, and hopefully that will allow it to come out easier. I don't know how good a picture this is going to be, but I'm trying to get the seat out. I'll show you in a minute, but these mounts are not just straight. There's a little portion that protrudes on the back end, and that was getting stuck on the body underneath the doorstep trim. Forget exactly what that's called. But stuck the remote for the door in the pocket and apparently bumped into it. As I was pulling that out. So to remove the carpet, and I don't know what kind of holes the new carpet's going to come pre-cut with or not, but I pulled this carpet from underneath the console, and there's a big slit in it to slip it over the seat belt on that. This car, I have 2 seat belts because, as I said, I use it for autocross and drag racing, and I like the old-fashioned style lap belt better than these the 3-point shoulder harness, because it keeps you in the seat better. Although once I did that, I found that 3-point harness is actually pretty good. So this all just pulled out from underneath that console easily. I suspect that the other is going to pull out as well. But there's a couple things here. The way this seat belt is arranged on this side, it's actually bolted near the center of the seat, and it comes under a metal bracket here and then goes up, or even on the regular lap belt it goes under that bracket and then goes around the seat in your waist. So next thing I'm going to do, and we'll see how it goes, I probably have to take off this panel here, the kick panel, and probably the reason I have to do that is to get the new one under it. The old one isn't under it, so That's not an issue. But then there are 4 screws holding this door step in, and hopefully those come out easily. And I can just then lift the door jamb off. Get it in the slot. That one appears to be crooked. It is, but it came out. Sorry if the photography's not the best, but like I said, I gotta do it with one hand and work with the other. There's a short screw on that other one. Maybe I need to replace that with a longer screw. That one was a little bit crooked the other direction. That's a longer screw. And then in the back, one more screw. And the door threshold jam, whatever you want to call it, is off. Now, this has a big slit in it for the seat belts to go through. And as discussed before, there's that big metal piece that they go under. So to take this off easily, I'm just going to cut this till I find out what kind of holes the new carpets. I'm just going to cut that right there to be able to slip it out. And then there might be a couple little fasteners holding it up at the top there. Let's see if I can get some light on the subject. I don't really see any, but I'll feel around up there before I get too ambitious and break something pulling it off. But I don't see much. This door jamb here, I think it's missing a screw, but it comes right off. The 76 had a screw, and this has a hole for it right there in the top right hand corner. Well, looks like the right, as it's in the car, it's going to be towards the front of the car. So there's maybe one there too. And that one looks more like a screw hole. I don't know why that one's there, but I need to go get something to cut that the carpet with. And the carpet will be out. I think my new carpet is coming with this padding for underneath, so I'm going to wait until that comes and see what the deal is and decide after I see the carpet whether I need to pull that out or not. I'm pretty sure I will have to be pulling it out, but for now I'm going to leave it in until the carpet comes, which is supposed to be delivered today. So as I said, I just took a pair of scissors and I snipped the carpet so that it would come around the seat belts. And the carpet is out. And I should have taken the screws I had sitting on it off before I took it out. Well, I'll find them. So now I'll go just repeat that procedure on the passenger side for removing the carpet, since the seat is already removed. So a couple things have happened since I last had the camera on. Carpets got delivered. The one on the far side is the passenger, and then the one with the vinyl pads for the feet is the driver's side. And I'm glad it had that, because when I took the passenger side out, it was on top. I didn't know whether that was the front towards your left or whether that was the back, and it went up the riser behind the seat. So the fact that the driver's side is bent that same way tells me that that's the front on the passenger side. There are no holes in it, so I'm going to have to cut holes or otherwise find ways to put seat belts and bolts through and stuff of that nature. The other thing that happened is, once I got the seat out, I was able to measure from here to here. The best I could measure going center to center was 17 3/4 inches. When I loosely attached the runners to the new seat bottom, these are about 17 1/4 center to center. So what happened is, or what is going to happen, I should say, is I'm going to put these on with the holes that are already in them instead of drilling new holes. And I'm going to try to install that seat bottom in the car. And the reason I'm going to do that is because these holes in here are much bigger than the bolts. So there's some wiggle room, if you will, when you put those in. And I think, near as I can measure the holes in the floorboard, I think 17 1/4 is going to do it. And from the outside edge of this hole to the outside edge of this hole is 17 1/4. And I forget what the exact measurement was, something like 15 3/8 or something on the front side. And again, I think these holes are big enough that once they're bolted on, I think I'll be at the edges of these holes with the bolts, but I think they'll fit. The only way to find that out is to bolt one up and try it, so that's what I'm going to do. So I found some bolts, which they don't include, to put the bracket onto the seat adjuster. And that's not going to work because I just stripped it. Yep. Back to the drawing board, find some more bolts. So I had to go to the Home Depot, and I got stainless steel hex nuts, and I got nylon locking nuts for the other side. I couldn't find any appropriate bolts in my collection of bolts because they had to be short in order to not interfere with the other screws that are holding the rails onto the seat. So that's what I ended up with. Hopefully these bolt holes will be able to be lined up once I get it in the car. Do a test fit before I put the carpet in. And because of this delay in going to the store and that, I don't think I'm going to get the carpet in today. But that's the way things go. I got these type of bolts that I got because I don't want them to stick into the carpet too much. I could put them in the other direction, but the nut then would stick further into the carpet. I don't know if that's an issue or not, but I don't want it that way. So, strangely, on the back ones, I had to put a wrench in there to hold the nut to tighten it up. On the front ones, on both sides, I was able to just get the nut to hit up against the side of the rail, and it held it in place, so I was able to tighten them that way. Let's get these both lined up the same way. Okay, those are both lined up the same way. Now I can try and test fit it, see if it will go into the car. Those look like they're about lined up the same, the rails. I'm going to try to put them in the back. It'll be easier to test fit it without the back on it. Okay, looks like the back ones are going to line up. That's one bolt that's in. just a wee bit short. It is so close. Let's see what's going on in the front. Slide the seat to the back. First. That's in. And no, wee bit short. I'm going to have to possibly make the holes bigger or just move the holes. I can see part of the hole, but not all of it. Can almost get that in there. Just needs to be a little bit bigger, a little bit further apart. Well, that means that, well, I'm just going to leave that like that for now because I can sit on it to move this out of my wife's parking spot. She won't be too happy if she can't park in the garage. If I put this end in first. That bolt is in. No, just a little bit short. So I'm going to have to take that out and drill those holes a little bit bigger or make new holes, move them over a bit. So yesterday when I left off, I had tried to fit this seat into the driver's side, and what I found out is that just as my measurements indicated, I was going to have to drill new holes here and spread these connectors out further. And I don't have that in the frame. So my measurements indicated that on the old seat, those were 17.5 center to center. And on this seat, we're looking at right around 17.25. And down here, we're looking at 15, and it was more like 15.5. So what I've got to do is take these off and drill holes 1/4 inch on each side to the inboard of these, so that when I put them back in, I'll be spreading them that way, or making the okay, that's a square bit, not a hex. So I'll be taking those off and drilling the holes, mounting them again, doing another test fit before I proceed to the carpet and putting the back on the seat. It was indeed a hex bit, I just pulled the wrong size. So after I get these off and drill the holes, I'll be back to show you the test fitting, I guess. In the meantime, this is kind of boring stuff. We'll just take those off and get to drilling. Okay, had to go down to the shop and use the drill press, but I've got a second hole each one, and I'll be able to put this in and find out whether or not we got a good distance. If we didn't, I don't know what I'm going to do, because it's kind of a one-shot deal, unless I maybe make one up further, but that would change the movement of the seat. So I will struggle to get these on, of course. Once I have all these on, I'll test fit it again. Don't know if I'll bother to video that, because I don't know that it's all that important, other than success or failure. So we have success with the seat bottom. 3 bolts are in. I didn't tighten them, but I inserted them, so I know they will go. One there, that's the back right, front right is in, rear left is in, and the rear right, I didn't even bother to put it in, but you can see with a little bit of wiggle room there, that's going to go. So it's pretty much in the center of the hole. So next step now is to scrape out the remaining carpet padding that's stuck to the floorboard there, and take out all of the bolts that are going to be in the way, like seatbelt bolts. I guess that's pretty much it. There's 4 bolts, 2 directly to the seatbelt, and 1 in that bracket that holds the seatbelt down. I think I'm going to run that seatbelt on top of the carpet and put that bracket in on top of this carpet. Just seems like it'd be better to do that and make small holes in the carpet instead of a big slit like the old carpet was. I suspect that was not the original carpet in this car either. So the bracket that the seat belt goes under is out. It was held on by 2 bolts with 9/16 head on them. They were kind of tough to get out. I suspect they haven't been out of the car in a long, long time. But that's how they were in there. The lock nut doesn't even want to go down all the way. And the seat belts are out. They were held on with 2 specialized bolts that allow the seat belt bracket to swivel on that. That's a 7/8 head. Those are actually easier to get at than the bracket that the seat belts go under. So I'm ready to try to fit the carpet. Now they give you no instructions other than it may need to be trimmed and you got to punch holes in it for bolts, etc. So I don't know how much you're going to be able to see from this angle. Let me try another angle. I don't know, you may see nothing but my backside from this angle, but it's better than the other one. If that's the case, I just won't post the video. So, here goes nothing. They shouldn't make these so that you have to trim them because they know what kind of car it's going in. They know the measurements. I understand why. So they don't tell you whether it's easier to go under the gas pedal than the brake pedal first or anything. No instructions. No instructions on how to cut the carpet. How to get the holes in it. That panel there should come off so that I can go up under it easier. Well, maybe I can do it this way. This piece right here, if you can see it, is going to be the toughest one. If I can get it in there without trimming it. And then I got to try to locate where the holes are for the bolts. One right about here, which means there's one about 15 or 16 inches over that way, but looks like if I can get it tucked under the console on that will look pretty good. But I'm going to shut the camera off while I figure out how much to cut, where to cut, and how to cut. So a couple lessons learned here. I found that whenever you're trying to push that carpet up under things like that console, you want to keep the part where you're pushing it up as flat as possible, and any slack in the carpet be as far away from where you're trying to push it as possible, because you'll never get that under if they, like if the carpet's trying to go under here and you have a loop there, you'll never get that under. You need to go up under like that with your loops way back here. Okay, the next thing I did, and I hope you can see it, I'll point it at. I've got two of the bolts for the seats started. What I did was I took a pick. I first marked a piece of tape approximately where my hole had to be. I'm trying to demonstrate over here. This is, there you go. That is where the seat belt hole is. So now what I'll do is I'll just take my razor knife and I'll cut a square around that for my bolt to come out. It might take a while, so I don't know if I'll video the whole thing, but I'll try to stay out of the way here while I start the square. This is going to be behind a plate that holds the seat belt in, so any excess, and under the seat, any excess size to the hole is going to be covered. But basically just cut into it deep like that. And what I've done is I've put the bolts in where I've got them. I also have another hook, pick with a hook on it, that I can get behind here as I'm cutting it. If I pull it out, see where I've cut. Not successful yet. Only stabbed myself once so far with the pick, so I guess it's not too bad. But basically that's the process I'm going through. This is pulling out a little bit. I'll have to tuck that back under before I put the bolt in. Maybe I should, I lost my hole. Maybe I should pull that from under. There it is. I don't know if I'll be messing myself up if I do that or not. Comes out easy. So there's where the hole is. There's the bolt. Hopefully I'll be able to stick it back up in there again easily. Better get that out of the way before I stab myself again. Probably had my head in the way. I had the pick sticking through there. This doesn't cut easy with scissors. Okay, that should be a big enough hole to get the bolt in. What I have to do now is tuck that back up under. And there's my bolt. The new seat belt does not go all the way through that over top of the bolt. Not easy getting these things started for the first time. Okay, that's enough video of me struggling to get the bolt started. I will shut off the video and till I get that in. So here's where we're at with the carpet install. Got some excess hanging over the door sill, but I think that's gonna go underneath the door sill just fine. I test fit it already. I've got 4 bolts where the seat goes. 1, 2, 3, and 1 behind the seat belt here. Maybe you won't see it. Yikes, that's the door sill. So there's the last bolt there. Actually, there's a hole there. I don't have the bolt in there. And there's the retainer for the seat belt. And I put the seat belt on top of the carpet when I put it back together. It seems better to me. So there's the door sill on. Went on very easily, just 4 screws, nothing exciting there. So now I have to put together the seat and install it. I took the T-top off to make it easier to get in. So I got to go get the bolts and the seat back and be ready to install it. Okay, I'm going to try to assemble the seat. There's a hole here in the side of the seat here. It gets this big bolt, goes through this bracket here. Okay, kind of tough to line them up. The upholstery is pushing against that. It's making it hard to thread it in. It's probably be better done with 2 people. Have to get enough pressure to compress that seat pad and get it lined up correctly. That isn't easy. I'm going to shut off the camera while I struggle with that, since you can't see anything from this side anyway. Maybe I'll take it around the other side, show you what I'm trying to do. There's the bolt. There's a hole in the upholstery right there. So I think I got it started. Okay, I'm going to have to tighten that up. Now on the other side, there's a couple holes again in the upholstery. couple holes in the one you can't see right now, but a couple holes in the bracket, the mechanism that tilts. Again, this might be something where two people would be nice. See if I can tilt it and get the back one in first. I'm not having much success with the front one. I can't even see the back hole. Release the latch and let it come down some. Well, had it lined up, but reaching for the bolt, I lost it. And get one of them started, I'll be able to pivot it and hook it up to the other one. Okay, that one's started. Get the other one started. Probably have a Allen wrench here on it to help me turn it. Feels like it's trying to start and then it doesn't. I'm gonna go get an Allen wrench. Might make it easier to turn it. Once I got the Allen wrench and had something to hold on better, it went right in. I am gonna go get me Allen wrench bit that I can use on my impact driver. Put these in a little quicker. And then I have to tighten that other one and put the covers on. Okay, add a little power to the equation. Okay. Let's see what size wrench I need for the other side. My first guess was correct. It was a 17 millimeter. That has a shoulder on that bolt to keep it from tightening up on it. That goes there. I have to get a screwdriver, tighten that up, and then I'll put the other one on. Okay, I'm going to take that seat, drop it in. I hope once I get it in, I can tilt this back because it doesn't want to move with no weight on it.
Where do you want me to park the car?
Right there's fine for now.
Okay. Do you have room to move around?
Yep.
Okay. Something just fell out of the bag. Something fell on the seat out of the bag. I don't know what that is, but...
Yeah, wasn't out of the seat. It was all
Oh! It's the remote. Like, I couldn't tell what it was. I just saw it fall. Ah!
I just did that.
And I guess it works, too. Okay. Alright, well, I'll leave it there and grab my stuff. Is it not fitting? It's not on the track?
The rail got pushed, like as if to adjust the seat.
Oh.
It's about sticking out from the back.
Alright, well, I'll leave you to it. I'll grab my stuff.
Alright.
You sure you don't want me to move the car?
Yep.
Okay.
Where's my phone?
I'll leave it unlocked.
What?
I'll leave the car unlocked. My car. Do you have any idea how much longer you're gonna be? I'm just wondering what I should do.
I have a couple bolts, like 4.
Oh, is that the last?
And a battery connection.
Is that the last thing you're gonna put in? Is the seat?
Today, yeah.
Okay, well that's what I didn't know, like how much more you were doing. Okay.
Except I can't find the bolts that I'm looking for.
You got stuff up here too. Could it be up here?
It could be anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Not up here.
You got shiny stuff up here.
It's right here.
Alright. Alright, well then I will go in and I'll just do my normal stuff. If I have time, I'll take my contacts out. Otherwise, I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, it's all in. So here's the inside with the driver's seat installed. carpet is in the passenger side. I've got my 4 bolts in for the seat, holding their position to hold the carpet. That was a good idea up to a point. And the reason I say up to the point, and it's part of I show the good, the bad, and the ugly when I do a job, and this is an ugly. On that bolt right there, and you can see a little bit, I used the nut driver to tighten that bolt in, and it had a lock washer on the bottom of it, and it caught one of the threads and it ran. This is fortunately under the seat, and what I did is I took some craft glue that is flexible, and I put it in the line that was left there, and then I stuffed some of the carpet material that had ripped out. Fortunately, that will be under the seat. So if you're going to do this, then I would recommend that you place a washer under the bolts as you put them in, just like I have there. Now this side was not as generous on the carpeting, and you can't tell it, but right there by the console, well, yes, you can tell it, it's just barely in. And also on this side, it's just barely in. If I could move it to give it a little room on that side, I'm pretty sure it would just come out under the door sill. It was very, very, very close. So I don't give them good grades for their cutting because the other side had way too much. This side had just barely enough, although in most places that was an advantage because it was easier to stuff under the console there. I still had to cut behind the kick panel there, but it looks good for now anyways. We'll see how well it lasts. I have a couple screws yet to tighten right there in that console, but other than that, let's put the seat together and put it in, which I'm not going to bother videoing because I did that yesterday, and it's going to be the same process. So unless I come up with some big revelation, this is going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching. So I did think of one thing I wanted to mention. These seats, although I like them, I think they're a good buy for the money. In this Corvette, if you're over 6 feet tall, I would not recommend them because my head was kind of touching the T-top, and it's a lot more difficult to get in and out of the car than the old seats. So just let that be a warning. If you are a tall person, you might not want these seats in a Corvette. Well, I forgot to mention, this is a C3 Corvette, but I don't think any of the other ones are much bigger. It's only a difference maybe of 2 inches that the seat is higher, but it does make a difference. So there's the passenger seat installed. Driver's seat. Looks much better than the old ones.